Good morning and welcome to today's 10 minutes at 10. And today we're going to talk to you about how to win with cash flow. Specifically, 5 different tasks, 5 different days to win and get on top of your cash flow forecasting, cash flow management, cash collection. When cash is tight and you really feel the pinch, it's quite difficult not to become overly consumed and overly stressed about it. So, what we would recommend is that you take a 5 day strategic approach to managing your cash flow. So, do daily tasks, build a routine, and have specific tasks set in specific time slots each day to make sure that you get things done.
Think of it like cleaning your house. If you do a little bit here and then,
Yeah.
it's easier than leaving it all to the end and doing a big roundup. So a little bit on often makes a big, big difference with cash flow.
Yeah. So there are some tasks that you should do daily, and the most important task we think that you should do daily is to post all of the receipts that come into your bank into your business accounts and make sure that your age receivables are always up to date. If someone's paid you on Monday, you don't really want to be chasing them on Tuesday, having not posted that cash to their account. Make sure that you update your receipts daily, and that way your age receivables will always be spot on and up to date.
Yep. That makes a massive difference if you've got statements or you've got automated reminders, things like that. So it just makes the process much more pain-free for you and for your customers.
And nobody likes being chased for something that's already been paid, do they? So
just causes confusion as well. It makes more work for you.
Yeah, and stress sometimes. We have, we've seen in the past where clients have chased people because their cash flow isn't up to date. And then they've said, oh, I've paid you. They do get a bit snarky about it sometimes, unnecessarily so, perhaps, but they do sometimes get a bit snarky because people just don't like being chased for something they have already paid.
Yeah.
But amazingly, they'll pick up on that really quickly and come back in seconds. Yet if you're chasing them for something that's not paid, they'll generally ignore you until they're good and ready to pay it.
And if you're time strapped, focus on the customer receipts, like we say, because they're the ones which are really going to drive your cash flow because you need to get that cash in.
So we've got a 5 day set of routines that we recommend you implement today to really win with your cash flow.
So the first one is on a Monday. Basically, if cash is tight, you need to manage it carefully. So we recommend creating a simple, and we mean simple, cash flow forecast based on what you must pay this week. So it can just be on a scrap of paper, whatever really works for you. And most importantly, what you should be paid as well. So you can use expected dates in Xero if you're using Xero as your accounting software. So if you know when a customer is due to pay you, you can add it into your cash flow forecast, and then you can plan your cash in and cash out for the week. Makes a big difference, and a weekly short-term cash flow forecast will always help you focus.
Then super important.
Make it easy for your customers to pay you. So give them short payment terms. Take deposits up front if you're dealing with things such as, I don't know, stock and you've got risk, or you've got risk of cancellations and things. Deposits are really useful for no-shows. Make it easy for your client to pay you with backs. If you don't want them paying by check, remove the check stub from your invoice if you have it already. Make it really, really clear how you want it to pay. And if you can, add direct debits, use Stripe, and use PayPal if it makes it easier for your customers to pay.
So that the easier and the quicker they can pay, the less likely you are to have to chase it. But if they have to go rooting round for those details, say, for example, your bank account details aren't on your invoice, and you'd be surprised how many invoices we process a week where the bank details are simply not on there, and they have to come on a letter-headed paper or something silly like that, which is, it means you're constantly chasing for information. Now, of course, you've set those bank account details up in your bank, but if those account details change and that change of account details came into somebody else in the business, then you can risk paying your hard-earned cash out to the wrong bank account. So make sure that you have your bank details on your invoices so that your customers aren't ever confused about where they need to make your payments.
Yep.
On Tuesdays, do your credit control. So Mondays is a great day for posting all of the, doing your bank transactions and do your day-to-day work, but everybody else is doing that too. So wait until Tuesday to do your credit control. Set your systems up to send weekly reminders. Xero can send up to 5 weekly reminders, which should be enough to remind your generally good payers to pay within the next sort of 4 or 5 weeks. So you can get to 40 days overdue without, too much stress. Now, after that, you should be calling them. So we would recommend you start calling anybody that's over 30 days overdue. So between the first sort of 3 or 4 weeks, it's not too big a deal. When it gets to 5 or 6 weeks, that's when you should be on the phone and start calling people. Don't let it run too late, and certainly don't wait for 60 days, 90 days, or 120 days before you start picking up the phone and calling people. If they've got cash flow problems, you want to know sooner rather than later. If they've lost the invoice and they don't know what you're chasing, you want to know sooner rather than later. So take control of that and start chasing people sooner, talking to them, finding out why they're not paying. It might be an issue with the invoice, it might be a question on what you've delivered. But you don't want to end up delivering more stuff, more stock, more services for more months and have a risk of those not being paid either.
Identify the queries, find them out quickly, and then you can resolve them quickly as well. And another reason for why to do this on Tuesday is because a lot of finance departments happen to be in on Tuesdays. It just seems to be one of these things which happens in many businesses. If they have a part-time finance department, Tuesday seems to be a really popular day.
I know, yeah, it is. So Mondays is the day everyone's busy. Fridays is when everybody's taking the time off for the weekend. So Tuesdays is a good day. And it gives them enough days to put enough processes in place in their own businesses to make sure that you're paid that week and not the week after.
Yeah. So what do we do on a Wednesday? This is when we post our bills, post our invoices, and do this promptly so you always know who you owe.
Yeah.
So Receipt Bank is a great tool for helping speed up this process because actually you can get all the emails and paperwork into your accounts quickly without actually having to do a lot of the legwork. Then you just need to review your purchase ledger and make sure that you have posted all invoices to your accounts, and then go through your bank, just make sure that you've got this lot all set up so you can actually match them, and then just set up some email rules within your inbox to basically automatically send emailed invoices straight into Receipt Bank so you don't even need to think about it.
It's quite easy to do that, especially if you're using tools like Gmail, where you can pick out things that have got invoice in the title and PDF attachments. So you can set a rule out so that it bypasses your inbox, forwards that invoice automatically onto Receipt Bank, and then puts that sent item into a folder marked sent to Receipt Bank. So that's quite quick and easy to do, and it saves a lot of your own time. Now, the reason why people can send invoices directly to Receipt Bank, but the reason we don't encourage that is because once they start sending invoices to your Receipt Bank, they'll also send the emails to your Receipt Bank. They'll send questions and statements and queries on the account to your Receipt Bank account, and they don't come through in the same way. If it's not a PDF attachment, it's just an email with a query written on it, that will then get lost in and rejected from Receipt Bank because it's not an attachment. So people still forget that Receipt Bank will only take PDF attachments, and of course your clients won't know that's what they're supposed to send. So get it to come into your inbox first, preferably an accounts or a finance at your business name inbox, to separate those from your day-to-day emails, and then forward those on.
And if you're VAT registered, this is critical because it helps you maximise your VAT recovery, and it minimises those nasty quarterly payments.
So Thursdays is then catch-up day. Thursdays is the days that you reconcile your bank transactions, post all your accounts, mop up anything that you haven't had time to do this week, reconcile your PayPal accounts if you have them. They cause enormous amounts of difficulty with reconciliation if you're only using them to pay bills and not using them to receive money in. It's the last chance for you to really chase for any cash before Friday, so they get that done today. And then look at your VAT liabilities. What cash has come in? What cash has been paid this week? What does that mean that you owe HMRC for VAT if you're VAT registered? If you have an idea of what your VAT liabilities for the quarter to date are now, today, you can use that in your cash flow forecast tomorrow to make sure that you're not paying too much out to suppliers or to other places, and that you've put enough aside for your VAT.
Thursday mornings are good to have those last chats where you've missed them on Tuesday. Because most people do, say, a Friday payment run. That's quite common. If you get into them in the morning, you're more likely to go into that payment run rather than having to wait till next week. Speaking of payment runs, Fridays. This is the date for payment runs. So plan your payment runs for Fridays. So once you've got all your cash in for the week, you can start seeing, okay, this is what I have. Now, prioritize which payments are critical to the business activity. So
Yeah,
you're going to
absolutely.
actually have to be a little bit ruthless with this. If you don't have enough cash to pay all your suppliers who are chasing you, prioritize the ones who are really, really important, and then work down the list. And if you have to go onto payment plans with some, then arrange that. But get a process. Make sure it's set in stone that you're going to do this on Friday. So if someone calls you, it makes it easier to deal with. Because if someone calls you, can you pay this? Yeah, I'll put it on Friday's payment run. Boom.
Yeah, don't
Nice and
pay it
clean.
immediately, because if something comes up in the meantime, then you've compromised your own cash flow and you can't
Yeah.
pay for what you need to pay because you've paid somebody else who's calling you on demand.
Yeah.
So I would always say, yep, I'll put that on Friday's payment run.
Trains them into a behaviour. You actually find if you do that, they'll get their invoices to you quicker. You can investigate them quicker. You can raise queries quicker. It's so much. It adds so much to the
definitely.
supplier behaviour. It's unreal. And waterfall any cash to you first. So make sure you're actually waterfalling cash to pay you, cash to your tax accounts, and then with what's left over, that's what you can pay your suppliers with. So rather than actually basically prioritizing your suppliers and missing out on tax or missing out on you, you're doing it in reverse. So prioritize you, prioritize tax, and then your suppliers. That's what you have left to play with. That's basically your working capital. And if you have to, part pay suppliers instead of paying them in full. So actually, if you part pay all of your suppliers, it's better than paying some in full and ignoring others. Just helps with the rapport a little bit.
Yeah, and it's a gesture of goodwill. If they know that you're in a difficult situation and you can't pay your bills at the moment, or you're struggling to pay everything at the moment, it's better to sort of cast your net a little bit wider and pay a little bit to more than it is to pay more off one or two.
Yep.
So, and that helps people understand that although things might be a bit tight for you at the moment, you are still making your best efforts to pay. And of course, if you're using Xero as your accounts, it's super simple just to part pay that invoice and show that reducing.
And daft as it sounds, if you pay the same supplier in full every time continuously without fail, strange as it sounds, you actually train them to expect it. And then all of a sudden it puts yourself in more pressure continuously.
Yeah, which is fine if your cash flow is positive enough that you don't have to worry about part paying. But if your cash flow is not and you're struggling to pay, it is better to talk to these chaps and let them know that you can pay less on on a weekly or a monthly basis. And I would encourage you to pay weekly rather than monthly, because that way it does get you into regular habit. So, and it does get you out of that sort of cash situation very, very quickly.
And it's easier to forecast.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please let us know in the comments. If you have any queries, please add those and we'll endeavour to answer them all today for you. So lovely to see you today, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Thank you very much.
Bye for now.
Bye.